Hey everybody, it's Brandon. It's been a while since I made some videos, so I'm going to produce a couple next couple days. This one is talking about what it takes to become a private pilot. There's a section in the FAR-AIM booklet, Part 61, and that lists all the requirements that you have to go by in order to get a specific license or rating. So today I'm going to be talking about what it takes to become a private pilot. I'm going to walk you through kind of the steps, the different things we have to accomplish, and why we are doing those things, okay? So the first thing is, the major requirement is you have to have a minimum of 40 hours of flight time, okay? You can't schedule a check ride and go in with 39.9 hours. You have to have a minimum of 40 or higher, okay? I would say the average student for me is probably right around 50 hours. I've had students that get it done right at 41 hours to up higher. Me personally, I had like 75 hours when I took my private pilot check ride. Yes, I could have got it accomplished right around 40 or 50 hours, but I just flew for 6 months, flew solo, just worked on landings and just had fun and built up more flight time. It wasn't until I got it kind of tired of that, and I was like, hey, I want to go ahead and knock this thing out and take some people for rides and whatnot. So that's the number one thing, minimum 40 hours of flight time. Second thing is you have to have minimum of 20 hours of flight instruction. Okay, that's just one of the requirements. Got to have that. Third thing is you have to have 10 hours of solo time by yourself in an airplane. Now, out of that 10 hours, it breaks down to a couple of things that we have to get knocked out. Okay, main thing is cross-country flight time. You have to have, out of that 10 hours of solo time, you have to have a minimum of 5 hours solo cross-country. Keyword is cross-country is to another airport that is is greater than 50 nautical miles from your departure point. Okay, so we have to do a couple of cross-countries to airports that are less than 50 nautical miles in order to get things accomplished for like our tower landings and stuff. So we can't log that cross-country time. So you have to have 5 hours solo cross-country time of airports greater than 50 nautical miles. Now, you always go on your long solo cross-country flights, okay? That is to a total of 3 airports, your departure airport, and then 2 others, and then you return back to your departure point. So for here, we go to Gainesville. I send my students to Durant, Oklahoma, Paris, Texas, and then back. Out of that, one leg has to be greater than 50 nautical miles, okay? And then it has to be more than 150 nautical miles total distance. So that's the big thing on the solo that you're trying to accomplish is your long solo cross country. Okay. Now, the other 5 hours can be whatever you want to do. Do you just want to stay in the traffic pattern, work on landings, or do you want to just go fly local flights or whatever you need to do in order to get that other 5 hours? So 5 hours of solo cross country time and then another 5 hours of just solo in the traffic pattern flying local flights around, okay? Okay, so now you're getting closer towards the end. We only have a couple other things we have to check off the list, okay? One thing we have to accomplish is 3 hours of nighttime flying, okay? I break this up into 2 flights because we have to accomplish 2 different things on this, okay? We have to have a minimum of 10 takeoff and landings to a full stop, okay? And we have to have a nighttime cross country. So I break this up into 2 things. First time, we just go up and we do, 8 to 10 takeoff and landings to a full stop and go. Okay, and that gets the student accustomed to nighttime flying. It's totally different. It's dark outside. You can't see as well. Your eyes don't focus. Your depth perception isn't near as good. So there's a lot of things that's quite a bit different. So I like to get my student comfortable with, traffic patterns and landings and takeoffs, stuff like that. The second flight, what I do is we go on a cross country. So there's an airport that's exactly 51 nautical miles away. So that meets our requirement. It's flying to another airport that is more than 50 nautical miles away and returning. And we have to do all that stuff in 3 hours. So most of the time I get it done right at 3 hours or just a couple of tenths over. If you want to go on a 100-mile night cross country, that's fine. You're just going to get more flight time in. There's nothing wrong. Like, the main thing is you don't want to try to get this thing done in the shortest period of time. My students that get their license in 50 hours are better than my students that get their license in 40 hours. And the reason is they have 10 more hours of flight time. That's huge. They have 10 more hours of experience and stuff. I was a lot better pilot to get my check ride done at 75 hours than I would have at 55 hours, okay? So like I said, this is a step at a time, a learning process. It's like a snowball. Hopefully you're rolling up all your knowledge and skill level, and it's getting bigger and better throughout this whole flight training deal, okay? All right, so that's our nighttime requirements. Our other thing is our hood flight. And a lot of people, whenever we go into, I tell them about this whole process, and we get into the airplane to go do some hood flight, and they're like, I have no idea, why are we doing this? So you have to have 3 hours of hood flight, which is you put on these goggles or a hood device, and you simulate that you're flying in the clouds. So this is very important training because it's not a if I enter the clouds, it's when you will enter the clouds, okay? At nighttime, a lot of times you can't see the clouds, and so boom, you'll be in them right before you even know it, okay? I've even had, I got thousands of hours, and last year we accidentally had no idea there was a cloud layer there. Everything was reporting 10,000 feet. We were climbing out, and then boom, we accidentally went in a cloud. So we had to, bring the power back and descend, and went right back through it. It wasn't a big deal, but totally caught us by surprise, So hood flight, we put the goggles on or the hood device on, and you fly just by reference to the instruments. We have to have 3 hours of this. There's several different things we have to accomplish. We have to do just a basic instrument flying is straight and level flight. Can you turn the airplane in a cloud, by reference to the instruments to a specific heading? Can you do a climb? Can you do a descent? Can you do a climbing turn? Can you do a descending turn? If you can do that, then you can probably be safe if you ever enter the clouds. I'll teach my students a couple of things like 180-degree reversal. In case you enter the clouds, don't panic, straight and level flight, just a real shallow bank, 180 degrees, and fly back out of that cloud. So we teach you guys a little bit of scenario-based stuff like that, okay? We also have to do maneuvers called unusual attitudes in this 3 hours of hood flight. So we simulate, we tell the students just go ahead and put their head down, close their eyes. The instructor or the examiner on the check ride will get the student disoriented, and then he'll say, okay, it's your airplane, recover. And we're wanting you to look up at the instrumentation and figure out the attitude of the airplane and recover it. So most of the time it's going to be a nose high recovery and a nose low recovery, okay? So we can do that. Also, what I like to do in that time is we do VOR work, okay? So, okay, how do you tune a VOR? How do you know where you're at? How do you determine which way to fly to a VOR and stuff, I personally mix in the VOR work with the hood work, okay? Then we have to have another big thing, which a lot of my students and students from all over the world struggle with this, is getting their written test completed. Somewhere from, A to Z, during your whole flight training process, you have to complete your written test before you can go and take the check ride, okay? My advice is to score the best that you can on the test. If you can score 98, score 98. If you can score 100, score 100. The reason is, when you go to take your check ride, you've never seen this examiner before, and he sure as hell's never seen you. So he doesn't know if you're like freaking awesome pilot or if you're a terrible pilot. So one of the first things he asks for is a copy of your written test results. So you hand him that sheet of paper. He's going to say two things. Ooh, man. Ooh, 72? Okay, you barely passed that. So I'm thinking the examiner's really got to quiz that individual to really make sure that that student, that applicant, really knows his stuff. Or he could hand him a 98 and go, man, a 98? Like, I really don't see many people with this high score. You must really know your stuff. So like I said, little things like that will really help you on your check ride, okay? Let's see. And then after all that, you complete all those little things, you have to do a minimum of 3 hours of check ride prep in the airplane. There's several different maneuvers you got to complete. There's short field takeoff and landings, soft field takeoff and landings, slip to lands, go-arounds, steep turns, slow flight, engine out emergencies, hood work, unusual attitudes, ground reference maneuvers. There's all these maneuvers to where we have to not just prepare you to, we have to get you to where you're flying them within the tolerances that the FAA want. And there's a book called the ACS booklet, and the whole key to the check ride is get that book and study it from front to back, because that's the entire test is based off of that one particular book. The examiners can't, quiz you or ask you to do maneuvers that aren't located in that specific book. Okay, you'd be surprised. The examiners that I use, they say that like 75% of flight instructors, and there's probably 75% of flight instructors that don't do this full time, that really aren't up on the game on how to instruct students and get them to where they can complete their check ride. 75% of the flight instructors don't show their students that ACS booklet and don't prepare their students for the check ride based off of the ACS booklet. So example is, hey, if I don't know, what that book is, what maneuvers are asked to be performed, and I go to prepare a student for the check ride, and we don't go over that, and I send him to go do his check ride, then there's a big possibility that that student's not going to know the maneuver. He's probably going to bust his check ride. So that all starts with the flight instructor. So anyway, that kind of breaks up in the entirety is like what all we have to accomplish to get this thing done for you guys. Okay, for flight time, this is everything that you got to do. Okay, and this is kind of why we do it. Okay, and then just two other quick little things besides the written test prep is, first day the instructor or the flight school needs to be going ahead and filling out your online paperwork for your medical certificate, and get your medical examination scheduled with a flight doctor, and they need to go ahead and be getting you your student pilot certificate. Sign you off for that so you can go ahead and get that. So those two things have to be completed before you can even solo an airplane. And with me, it's like, hey, you don't have to have that right off the bat. Yes, you really only need that whenever you're just about to solo. But let's go ahead and knock this out, because I don't want to get to hour 15 or hour 20 and you're ready to go solo and you're like, oh, well, I haven't gotten my medical yet, so I better go get my medical. And then come to find out that there's an issue and you can't get your medical and stuff. So that would save someone a lot of money up front. So like I said, just cover all your bases and stuff. So anyway, this is just a quick video on the whole process that it takes to become a private pilot. If you got any questions, just leave a comment. And if you guys want any other particular videos for me to cover, just ask, just shoot me a comment or a message or something like that. So anyway, hope you guys have a wonderful day. See you.